When you think of France, your mind probably jumps to its cities, its food, maybe its art. But what if I told you that the country's oldest, most epic story isn't found in a book, but is actually written into the land itself? Today we're going to explore France as a kind of living museum, a place where the planet's history is right there on display.
And this goes way beyond just pretty scenery. We're talking about a landscape that holds a memory, a deep memory. It's a story of fire, ice, and unimaginable pressure that didn't just shape mountains and coastlines, but maybe even the character of a nation.
So the big question is, how do we actually learn to read it? Well, that's what we're going to do. We'll take a tour of 4 monumental forces that have sculpted this land, and we'll decode the clues they left behind in the stone.
And we are starting with the big one, the most powerful force of all, a colossal, slow-motion collision that literally built the rooftop of Western Europe. Just try to wrap your head around that number. That is the staggering height of Mont Blanc, the highest peak in the Alps. This isn't just a mountain, it's the incredible peak of a truly epic geological event.
So how in the world do you build a mountain range like that? Well, it all kicked off about 65 million years ago. You had the African and European tectonic plates starting to crash into each other. The ancient seabed that was stuck between them got squeezed, folded, and shoved upwards, pushing all this crystalline rock right into the sky. But the final touch, the real artistry, came much, much later. Massive glaciers ground their way through, carving out those sharp, iconic peaks that we recognize today.
All right, from that immense crushing pressure of collision, we're going to shift gears to a totally different kind of power, the internal fire of the planet itself.
Right in the heart of central France, you'll find the Chaîne des Puys. It's this incredible chain of about 80 dormant volcanoes. I mean, it's a UNESCO Global Geopark because it's like a perfect textbook illustration with these pristine cones and craters all just lined up in a row. And here's the twist. That destructive past is the secret to the region's famously fertile soils. It's a direct gift from the fiery earth. And this is where the timeline gets really wild. The Alps started forming 65 million years ago. That's a span of time that's almost impossible to comprehend. But the last eruption here in Auvergne, that was just 7,000 years ago. That's a mere blink of an eye in geological terms. It really shows you how different and how recent these world-shaping forces can be.
Okay, so we've seen the brute force of collision and fire. Now let's talk about a sculptor that's a lot more patient, a lot more persistent, water. Its power isn't in one single event, but in millions of years of just relentless work.
I want you to travel back in time with me. Way back, 250 million years ago. The spot we now call the Verdun Gorge was a warm, shallow tropical sea. And on the seafloor, the remains of coral and shellfish were building up, layer after layer after layer.
And then, fast forward to today. After tectonic forces lifted that ancient seabed thousands of meters into the air, the Verdun River got to work. And over millions of years, it carved this absolutely breathtaking canyon, 700 meters deep, right through solid limestone.
Have you ever wondered why that water has that almost unreal, supernatural turquoise color? Well, the secret has a name: glacial flour. These are microscopic bits of rock, ground up by ancient glaciers, just hanging suspended in the water, and they scatter the sunlight in just the right way to create that glowing, vibrant blue-green hue. It's amazing. And water's power isn't just about carving things out. Sometimes it's about revealing what was already there. Over on the Normandy coast, these spectacular white cliffs, they're basically an ancient seabed, flipped on its side and exposed to the world. They're made of the compressed shells of countless microscopic sea creatures from 90 million years ago. And this is where it gets really cool. This geological wonder became an artistic icon. The artist Claude Monet was so completely captivated that he painted these cliffs over 50 times, just trying to capture how their appearance changed with the light. It's a perfect fusion of natural history and human culture.
And for our final force, we're looking at something that's maybe the most dynamic of all. It proves that geology isn't always ancient history. Sometimes you can literally watch it move right before your eyes.
Okay, get ready for this. Welcome to the Dune du Pilat, Europe's tallest sand dune. At its highest point, it stands a colossal 110 meters high. It is a true giant made of sand.
And the sheer volume of sand here is just mind-boggling. This single dune is made up of something like 60 million cubic meters of sand, all of it carried and sculpted by the wind.
But here is the craziest part, the part that's hard to believe. This monument is not static. It's alive. The dune is pushing its way inland at about 5 meters every single year, literally swallowing forests as it goes. This is geology happening in real time.
So after seeing these four powerful forces at work, a really clear picture starts to emerge, doesn't it? The landscape of France isn't some fixed, static backdrop. It's a dynamic stage where an epic story is constantly unfolding.
You could say the planet itself is the author. Tectonic collision wrote the Alps into existence. Volcanic eruptions forged the Auvergne. Water carved the canyons and revealed the cliffs. And wind is still, right now, building mountains of sand on the coast.
And really, that's the one big idea that connects everything we've seen: transformation. Ancient seabeds get pushed up into sky-high peaks. Violent eruptions eventually create incredibly fertile soil. Solid rock gets dissolved by water. It is a continuous, never-ending cycle of creation and reshaping.
Which leaves us with this one final, really cool question. We've just learned how to read the story the land has written so far, but you have to remember, the author is still at work. The dunes are still moving, the rivers are still carving, the plates are still shifting. So what chapter is being written right now? What story will this incredible, living landscape tell us in another 1,000 or even another 1,000,000 years?